In our last Bible study, Jesus said something to Nicodemus that left him stunned. He said, unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. And Nicodemus is confused. I mean, this is a man who's built his entire life on discipline and study and religious effort. And now Jesus is telling him basically none of that stuff matters because none of it can open your eyes to see the kingdom of God. And so Nicodemus asks him, well, how can a man be born when he's old? I mean, can he enter a second time into his mother's womb? Like, how can this even be? So Jesus says to him, truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born of water and the Spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of God. See, the problem for Nicodemus is that he's thinking of physical birth, but the birth that Jesus is describing is not something physical. In fact, it's not even something religious. It's a work that only God can do by his Spirit. And so Jesus continues. He says, that which is born of the flesh is flesh, but that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. And it took me a minute, honestly, to really understand what Jesus was saying right here. But what he's saying is that our flesh can only produce more flesh. Our flesh is not capable of producing spirit, much less spiritual life. And the problem for Nicodemus is that his entire life had been built on discipline and study and human effort. In other words, the effort of his flesh. And the effort of his flesh couldn't produce spiritual life within him because only the Spirit of God can take something that's spiritually dead and give it spiritual life. But in order for us to understand this better, I think we need to go back and look at a promise that God made to his people in Ezekiel chapter 36. He said, I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you will be clean, and I'll give you a new heart, and I'll put a new spirit within you. And I'm going to remove your heart of stone and put in its place a heart of flesh. What this passage reveals to us is that Jesus wasn't introducing a new idea. He was revealing the fulfillment of an ancient promise, one that Nicodemus honestly should have recognized as a religious leader, because God had always planned to cleanse and renew his people and to fill them with his Spirit. And our salvation had always been intended to be a work of God from start to finish, not a result of the work of our flesh. But what this means for our new birth is this. You're not going to enter the kingdom of God. You're not going to know him. You're not going to see the kingdom by trying harder. You're not going to impress God with all your religious effort. In fact, you can't even clean yourself up first. You just need to be born again. And the funny thing is this is not even something that you can do for yourself. He's got to do it for you. So if you want to know God, and if you want to see the kingdom, ask him, cleanse my heart. Give me a new spirit. Breathe your spiritual life into me. And when he does, you're going to finally understand why gospel means good news.